Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has long been synonymous not with extremism, but with moderation, tolerance, inclusivity, and even acceptance. In a predominantly Muslim country with substantial communities of Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Taoists, and Sikhs, we know well the dignity of difference. We have many ethnic groups, many religions, but we continually strive to be a harmonious and truly united nation, predicated on the values of moderation and the spirit of one Malaysia. We know that we are best, and we are strongest when we actively embrace our differences, rather than just putting up with them. And it is in that spirit that we come together at the first ever meeting of the global movement of the moderates. But a truly global movement cannot be imposed from above. So we must awaken in all our countries and communities the triumph of truth over ignorance, falsehood, and fear.
Thank you very much, and I'll be very brief. First of all, I want to express gratitude for the privilege of appearing here in front of Your Holiness and this assemblage. We're really honored you're here. I was saying earlier that you brought the House and the Senate together. We should have you here more often, and we're grateful. Let me say how much I appreciate as well the opportunity to be here with the Ahmadiyya Muslim community here in the United States, and to be with members of the House of Representatives who have us here today. And I'll be very brief. I have to introduce two candidates for judge that we've been working on, and they have to be confirmed. And if we don't get them through the committee today, we'll be in big trouble in terms of timing. So I want to apologize for leaving early. But Your Holiness, I want to thank you for your great leadership, the example and the demonstrated commitment that you've shown to tolerance and to justice and to peace. And as a Pennsylvanian, and we're especially grateful that you'll be visiting Pennsylvania as part of your trip, but as a Pennsylvania U.S. Senator, I can't help but think of my own history, or the history of our state, and the example of William Penn. When he came across the ocean in the 1600s, he came to found what he called a tolerance settlement, a place where religious freedom and diversity could be not just celebrated, but be part of the fabric of what was then just a territory, and now it's become a commonwealth, a state. And we're grateful for that inspiration. And today, on this day, we draw inspiration from you, from your work, and from your followers, not only here in the United States, but the world over. God bless you, and thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. That means just peace be unto you. It's the same thing that Jesus might say if he were here with us today. But I want to thank Your Holiness for joining us today and want to welcome you to the Capitol. It certainly is an honor to have you here, and we're all honored by your presence. I'd like to just point out that it's not in every country in the world that the Ahmadiyya community has been able to operate as freely as they might. This is something I think that is an important thing to point out today, because in this world we live in, the fact is that there are precious few countries where all the people can practice their faith as they're inspired to do so. I can tell you that in America may be the country where it's freest to practice Islam anywhere in the world. And I say that because I know that if we were in Iran, not so easy to be Sunni. If we were in Saudi, not so easy to be Shia. If we were in Pakistan, very difficult to be Ahmadiyya. And there, I could run right on down the list, but in America, all seek the divine as they choose. Different ways to be Muslim, all Muslim, different ways to be Christian, many denominations, many ways to be Jewish, many approaches, and it goes on and on and on. So I just want to let you know that we're honored by your presence, very proud of our commitment to religious tolerance in the United States, and we believe that though we may be among the most diverse countries in the history of the world, we have a great degree of stability and acceptance when it comes to religious inclusion. I also want to thank you, Your Holiness, again, because under your leadership and inspiration, the Ahmadiyya community has been a true blessing to its neighbors here in the United States. It was only a few months ago that I sat down in the Cannon building and rolled up my sleeve so that I could give some blood, and I know many of my colleagues did the same thing, in a program called Muslims for Life, and this was a blood drive on September 11th that the Ahmadiyya community sponsored. But it's not only that. The community has been building schools, been being a true asset to the community here in the United States. I want to thank you, and I also want to thank my colleagues from the House of Representatives, too numerous to mention. That's a good problem. But I think that by our strong presence here today, what we're saying to you is we value religious diversity, we value the Ahmadiyya community, and we value your leadership. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from California's best named city, Sherman Oaks. It is an honor to be here. Assalamu alaikum. I want to welcome His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, the worldwide spiritual leader of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, to our nation's capital. I know that this is his first time to visit Congress, and I think we're all honored to be here with him. Today we recognize His Holiness's commitment to world peace, to brotherhood, to justice, and to religious freedom. I've interacted with many of the Ahmadi followers, both in California and here in Washington, D.C., and I'm only struck by their dedication to peace and to justice and the respect and admiration for the spiritual leader of their community. And I'm pleased to join with so many leaders in the House of Representatives in introducing a resolution today on the House floor to recognize His Holiness's visit to the United States. It's a pleasure to be with Katrina Lantos Sweat, who I've worked with for such a long time. And I had the honor to work with her father, Tom Lantos, and I know how proud he would be of her leadership, not only of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, but also the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank two of my friends from Los Angeles, Dr. Asif Mahmoud, who's been such an energetic leader of the community in Los Angeles and has worked so hard to make this event a success. And also, of course, Kareem Ahmed for all of his community activities and his work on today's event. The Ahmadiyya community was, I'm told, founded scarcely more than 100 years ago in 1889. It has grown to have tens of thousands of adherents here in the United States and tens of millions around the world. It is a community that has been a model for community service, for religious tolerance in both word and deed, as has been mentioned before, and as I had a chance to discuss with His Holiness in a meeting that several of us did before this larger reception. His decision to have Muslims for Life honor the victims of September 11, 2001 by collecting 12,000 units of blood demonstrated a dedication to life and also a respect for what happened to this country on September 11th that I think all of us respect. There's only one thing that could bring me greater joy than to welcome His Holiness to Washington, D.C., and our capital, and that, of course, would be to welcome him to Los Angeles. And Mike, yes, and some of my other friends from California would think that maybe a side trip to Northern California could also be accomplished as a lesser important part of his visit to our state. The Ahmadi community's motto, love for all, hatred for none, I think speaks volumes about the community's commitment to tolerance, to dialogue, and to harmony. It is traditional and appropriate that a few gifts be given to a visitor. One of the things the members of Congress are able to do is to get a flag that is flown over the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and to give it to a man of great holiness who has honored us by his presence. And I would like to give you this flag.